Alright, welcome to the Mars Convention. This is the Aries Summit. It's by our Astral Congress. It's our second off-world session in 2032. This time its theme being the will to action, conflict, initiative, and the architecture of drive. Our venue is the Aries Estonia, a hardened subsurface complex beneath the floor of Argyre Planitia, one of Mars' oldest impact basins. The location is symbolic, a site of immense primordial violence, transformed into a shelter space for the study of controlled directed force. The Martian lens. Why Mars? So, Mars represents the principle of directed energy. Unlike Venus's relational duality, Mars asks, how does a system initiate, assert, compete, and survive? Our astrological archetype, the warrior, the pioneer, the athlete, the engine. Okay, here's our physical reality, a world of stark scarcity, brutal beauty, radiation, and global dust storms. A planet that lost its global magnetic field and oceans, forcing any expression of life or will to become deeply resilient, internal, and strategic. The summit's core paradox: to study the pure expression of action, Mars, one must reside in an environment of extreme constraint and vulnerability, a habitat on Mars. Initiative here is not abstract, it is a daily matter of survival. Alright? Now that we understand Mars, let's look at the convention. The Aries Jotonia. Okay? Alright, thank you guys for watching this channel. I do appreciate you. I take this very seriously. Convention architecture. The complex is a fusion of ancient fortresses and cutting-edge lab, buried to shield it from radiation and thermal extremes. Its design embodies Martian principles. Okay? The core tech, surface level, minimal. Only sensor arrays, comms equipment, and the iron gate airlock entrance scarred by perpetual dust abrasion. I'm just trying to get that one. Alright. The Strategium primary chamber, a vast circular hall lit by simulated daylight panels showing the real-time Martian sky. Walls are raw, polished basalt. In the center, a holographic tactical aurora displays real-time conflict data from Earth, military mobilizations, social unrest, competitive financial markets layered over a live geomagnetic map of Mars. The Forge Labs, a series of workshops where theory is stress-tested. Thus, Crucible studies the psychological and group dynamics of isolation and resource scarcity using Mars Regolith simulant, closed-loop life support drills as pressure tools. Red Gymnasium, a low G-training facility where delegates experience the Martian body, how initiative and aggression physically manifest in 0.38 G. Biometric data is core to the research. The Armory, not for weapons but for the tools of will, contains everything from ancient martial arts practice dummies to advanced conflict resolution AI simulators. Okay? Look at our core research themes and experiments. The scar tissue mapping project with our hypothesis and our experiment. So Martian geography, its canyons, impact scars, and dead volcanoes, is a fossil record of cosmic and planetary conflict. The scar tissue holds a resonant pattern for how systems, planets, people, nations absorb trauma, heal, and redirect energy. In experiment, delegates correlate major geological events in Mars history, Tharsis uplift, Valles Marineris formation, with analogous periods of tectonic social political rupture on Earth. The focus is not on the destruction, but on the new structures that emerged in the aftermath. The Phobos and Deimos dialectic. So Mars, two moons, one fleeing, Deimos orbits farther, one doomed, Phobos slowly decaying. They are seen as the two minds of conflict. Phobos, fear, panic, represents the impulsive, consuming, self-destructive aspect of drive. Deimos, dread, terror, represents the cold, calculating, strategic aspect of drive. Here's a workshop. Orbiting your conflict, delegates use the moon's orbital mechanics as a meditative framework to analyze personal or historical conflicts. Are you acting from Phobos, reactive, grinding closer to disaster, or Deimos, distant, strategic? Biorhythms in a 24-hour, 37-minute day. The Martian soul is 37 minutes longer than Earth's. The slight desynchronization from Earth's innate rhythms is a powerful tool. So-long experiment. Delegates live on the Martian soul for the summit's duration. Researchers monitor cognitive function, dream content, and decision-making urgency as the brain's circadian rhythm gently decouples from its evolutionary past. The goal is to isolate pure will function from Earth bias hormonal cycles. Let's look at the fires of Aries rituals. So we have the dust bath initiation. And really quick, I gotta check something. I mean, it didn't happen yet, but... Okay, so the dust bath initiation. Upon arrival, each delegate spends 1 minute in a secured surface antechamber during a minor dust storm. It's a sensory baptism in the Martian reality. The sound of a billion particles scoring the hall. The dimming light, the sense of an entire world expressing its arid, abrasive will. Shared vulnerability creates the summit's intense camaraderie. The War Games of Peace, the central interactive event. Delegates are divided into habitats, teams, and given a complex survival resource crisis to solve. The twist, direct aggression results in catastrophic point loss for all. Victory goes to the habitat that best demonstrates aggressive cooperation, decisive innovation, and strategic channeling of competitive drive toward a shared existential goal. Models the summit's ultimate thesis: Mars-ruled energy must be used to build and protect the habitat, not destroy it. The telling of scars, evening ceremony in low light. Participants share stories of a personal scar, a failure, a conflict, and injury, and the initiative it sparked within them. The ritual honors Mars as the ruler of both the wound and the courage to move forward. Alright, let's look at our key findings and Earth application 2032. So the Aries Summit produced the Arian Directive, a document of startling practicality with a prediction, recommended action, cultural ripple. So an upcoming 18-month transit of Mars through the constellation of Scorpio from the Martian sky perspective correlate with the crises of buried resource use on Earth. Scandals in mining, water table collapses, repressed trauma surfacing in leadership, explosive breakthroughs in subterranean archaeology, geology. Creation of first pioneer protocols for Earth's governments and corporations. These were mental and operational frameworks for leaders entering high-stakes, resource-scarce conflict zones, corporate or literal. Protocols emphasize Martian principles, objective-driven agility, resource auditing over bluffing, and the strategic value of a secure, sustainable base of operations above short-term tactical gains. Summit popularized the Arian Minute, a 37-minute period at the start of the business day in certain forward-thinking companies dedicated solely to initiating new risky or stalled projects, free from meetings or criticism. Alright. The unasked question. So the profound silence that followed the summit's final meditation was framed by a question from a delegate who was a former soldier and current engineer. Mars is a corpse of a world that once had rivers. Its lesson is that pure, unchecked initiative, war without the goal of building a lasting peace, leads to a silent, dusty grave. So is the highest expression of the Martian principle not the courage to fight, but the courage to stop fighting and to instead build a fortress against the cosmic void. Is true will the will to sustain, not just to conquer? This question of initiative versus stewardship created the thematic bridge to the next year's conclave on Jupiter, planet of expansion and preservation. So now, let's use purple for Jupiter. This is the Jupiter Convention, the Zeus Council, alright? Third off-world session, 2033. The theme is the architectonics of expansion, law, belief, and the physics of growth. Synedrion, a majestic rotating tour station in a high orbit around Ganymede, Jupiter's largest moon, positioned to exist perpetually within Jupiter's immense magnetosphere. The station uses Ganymede's own magnetic field as a secondary buffer, creating a unique nested field environment for the studies. Here's the Jovian lens. Why Jupiter? So Jupiter is the principle of scale. It's the solar system's gravitational anchor, a cosmic vacuum cleaner for cometary debris, and a broadcaster of immense electromagnetic energy. Its archetype asks, how do systems grow? What are the laws, both physical and social, that govern expansion, luck, wisdom, and the search for meaning? Astrological archetype: the king, the guru, the judge, the philanthropist, the storyteller. Physical reality: a failed star, a world of relentless storms, fractal complexity, and deep, unknowable interiors. Its magnetosphere is the largest contiguous structure in the solar system, bigger than the sun's visible disk, a literal sphere of influence. The Council's core investigation is luck merely a statistical probability or a resonant state an entity achieves when aligned with larger systemic laws, Jovian principles. So the Sine convention architecture. Station is a ring of wisdom designed to induce perspective. Periphery ring, living quarters and labs with continuous floor-to-ceiling viewports. Side is humbling, colossal manosphere of Jupiter. Its great red spotted timeless vortex dominates one view, the icy cratered terrain of Ganymede the other. The core chamber, the Athenaeum, at the station's hub, a zero-gravity spherical library. Here data flows not on screens but as 3D holographic lattices. Economic models, legal code evolutions, religious text cross-references, population graphs all float like galaxies, superimposed against a real-time visualization of Jupiter's magnetic flux tubes. And we have the 4 pavilions docked to the main ring, each dedicated to a Jovian faculty. Pavilion of Themis, Law and Structure, analyzes the emergence of order from chaos. Pavilion of Nemo, Sign, Memory, and Story, studies narrative, myth, and belief as expansion technologies. Pavilion of Plutus, Resource and Fortune, models the flow of energy and capital. Pavilion of Medes, Wisdom and Strategy, focuses on foresight and ethical scale. We have our core research themes and experiments. The magnetospheric broadcast hypothesis and experiment. So Jupiter's magnetosphere is not just a radiation belt. It's a solar system scale tuning fork, modulating cosmic rays and solar winds that may subtly influence neural excitability and collective mood on a biospheric level. The Ioflux tube trigger. So when the volcanic moon Io passes through specific points, it triggers immense electrical currents along Jupiter's magnetic field lines. The Council monitors these pulses, correlating them with a sophisticated lag time model with surges in expansive thinking on Earth, peak hours for scientific breakthroughs, landmark judicial rulings, and the launch of ambitious cultural movements. The Galilean moon dialectic. The 4 major moons are seen as the 4 pillars of expansion. So we have Io, fire volition, volcanic, driven by inner friction. And it represents passionate belief, zealotry, explosive creativity. We have Europa, water, intuition. Piscean, hidden, represents faith, potential, subconscious growth. Ganymede, air, intellect, complex with a magnetic field, represents governance, structured knowledge, diplomacy. Callisto, earth, endurance, scarred, ancient, stable, represents tradition, resilience, slow, lasting growth. Here's a workshop. Balancing your Galilean satellites delegates map a personal or societal endeavor onto this model. It's your project. All energy, lacking Europa's depth, is your institution too Callisto-like, needing Ganymedian innovation. We have the Great Red Spot Meditation. So the oldest continuous storm in the solar system, an anticyclonic vortex larger than Earth, it is the ultimate symbol of a self-sustaining system. Here's a practice. Delegates use biofeedback and shared VR to enter a simulation of the storm's dynamics. The goal is not to calm it, but to understand its homeostasis. This becomes a model for contemplating institutions, economies, or belief systems. How do you maintain the vital energetic spin of a system without it either dissipating or consuming itself? The amplification rituals, so the proclamation of edicts. Each delegate must bring one limiting law, a personal, professional, or cultural rule they suspect is obsolete. In a ceremony, these are stated aloud and then symbolically launched via laser pulse into Jupiter's clouds. Request to the Jovian consciousness to dissolve useless boundaries. Feast of abundance, a meal created from the most luxurious yields of the solar system's closed-loop agricultural stations. Emphasis is on excess with gratitude, challenging scarcity mindsets. During the feast, delegates share stories of unexpected luck or synchronicity, analyzing them not as accidents, but as moments of alignment with a Jovian current. The Council of 12. Alright, in direct homage to Jupiter's mythological court, 12 delegates are chosen by lot to sit in the Athenaeum and arbitrate a real, unsolved ethical dilemma sent from Earth. For example, a research dispute between orbital colonies. The mandate is to decide not based on existing law, but on Jovian justice. ruling that seeks the maximum benevolent expansion for all parties involved. Process is live streamed with a delay to Earth as a philosophical spectacle. Here are our key findings and Earth application 2033. And we're going to do our unasked question, and I'm pretty sure we're done. So, the Zeus Council produced the Jovian Compass, a framework for navigating growth. Here's our prediction, our recommended action, and our cultural ripple. So, an upcoming alignment of Jupiter with the galactic center, viewed from Ganymede, would open an 18-month window of philosophical contagion. During this time, belief systems, religious, ideological, scientific, would exhibit viral growth patterns, but with a high risk of fanatical distortion, Io energy overtaking Ganymede. Our recommended action is the covert establishment of librarian cadres within major media, educational, and religious institutions. Their unspoken rule was to subtly balance the Galilean moons in public discourse, tempering fiery rhetoric with cool reason. Ganymede, grounding zeal in compassionate tradition, Callisto, and encouraging intuitive leaps, Europa, backed by data. They were to be stewards of wise expansion. Our cultural ripple. Council inspired the Jovian pause in corporate and legislative practice, a mandatory 24-hour period of consultation with diverse external sages, philosophers, artists, scientists from unrelated fields before any decision that would scale an enterprise or law by an order of magnitude. The unasked question. So as the council concluded watching a transit of Jupiter's shadow cross the face of Ganymede, a delegate, a physicist who had lost her faith, posed this somber central question. Jupiter protects Earth by drawing impacts to itself. It is the benevolent king, but its gravity can also perturb and sling asteroids toward the inner planets. Its expansion creates chaos elsewhere. So is the ultimate lesson of Jupiter that true growth is inherently responsible, that to wield the power of a god expansion law belief is to accept the gravity of consequence, to become willingly a shield for those in your orbit, and if so, who in our world is ready to be Jupiter? This question of divine responsibility set a grave and purposeful tone for the next gathering in the house of Saturn, the planet of limits and time. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you. Subscribe and like for more advanced astrology and reaction videos and more videos. Let me know what you want to see. With peace and love, Piscean X05.